This is St Giles in the centre of Oxford. It's the 30th of April, and tomorrow, if the weather's good, I'll get up and go down to Magdalen Bridge at the other end of the centre of Oxford, where lots of people will be celebrating May morning, something that happens every year when, I don't know, maybe about 10,000 people cram themselves onto Magdalen Bridge and listen to choristers singing in the dawn from Magdalen College Tower. I thought I would take a walk round Oxford in advance just to show the route and some of the places that I'll be going to tomorrow, because tomorrow I'll be far too busy trying to record particular events to say much about them. I'm probably not going to say all that much today because this is my first video and I'm still getting used to the controls, and I'm still getting used to having to walk and talk at the same time, in the sense of both looking at the screen and the controls and avoiding hordes of tourists, students and students on bikes. I say students on bikes because a lot of them ride on the pavement, which they really shouldn't. So I'm in Pusey Street in central Oxford, and opposite me is St John's College, and this big street is St Giles. And it's sunny, which is unusual for Britain, and it's about 1:30, so it's lunchtime. That direction is south, so that is east, St John's, and that direction is north. And that pub is the Tilt. Zoom. That pub there is the Eagle and Child, known to locals as the Bird and Baby, and it's famous because Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, the author of Lord of the Rings, often came here with his friend C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis wrote The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and other stories about Narnia and the same world. So that's the Bird and Baby, the Eagle and Child. Now I'm facing south. I said there are loads of tourists in Oxford. This is a parking spot for tourist coaches. You'll see loads of them as I shove my way past hordes of tourists. Sorry, I drifted out of alignment there.
Te lo giuro, viva!
This is one of the few traditional red phone boxes left in England. I'm having trouble with the control that tilts the phone. It's supposed to swing it into landscape mode, but it won't. So I'll have to show you the phone box in sections. Another tourist coach. Turismo. I have a feeling these are either Spanish or Portuguese.
That's very good. Thank you. Right, I'm actually coming in with you, actually.
That's the bottom of St John's and the start of Balliol College beyond the trees. That's better. That's St John's and that's Balliol.
Yeah, 45 minutes.
Students will be streaming along St Giles tomorrow from North Oxford up there, where there are more colleges and loads of private rented accommodation. And they'll all be walking down to Magdalen Bridge for May morning. The pubs will be open early. The pubs open at 6, so drinking age is 18 here. So a lot of people will be getting drunk before going down to the bridge. And the colleges, a lot of colleges have balls. So a lot of people will have been hiring ball gowns, if they're girls of course, and staying up all night, getting even drunker. That is a local bus, not a tourist bus. Okay, this is Oxford's not really big enough to have much of a city centre, but this is what passes for it. And sadly, the main attraction is a Tesco. There used to be a bookshop called Borders, which people in the US will know about, but it went bust about 10 years ago. I don't know whether there's an art to getting people to stay out of your way. Maybe if I wore yellow and black stripes like a wasp. Central Oxford's main attraction, the biggest supermarket, a Tesco. Used to be bookshop, Borders.
Would you say it?
Central Oxford's second main attraction, another supermarket, a Sainsbury's. Now facing south again. What's there is Cornmarket Street, pedestrianised, and what's there is Broad Street with a load of colleges on each side.
Hey, hey. It's the sunshine for a change.
And more tourists.
Such a nice day.
Let's walk along Broad Street. I'm facing east, and since it's the middle of the day, the sun is no longer in the east, which means it isn't in my eyes. Coping with the sun in my eyes is not something I've got a lot of practice on, because I've not got a lot of practice seeing the sun. That's what comes of living in Britain. More tourists. This is Broad Street. The middle of the street used to be full of parked cars, but the council has removed them and landscaped it with planters, which is a nice improvement. Oxfam stands for Oxford Famine Relief. It's a charity shop, very well known in the UK, and the first Oxfam shop was here in Broad Street. It now sells mainly clothes for Oxfam. I believe it set up during the Second World War, maybe 1945. Balliol College, and I'll let you read their history for yourself. That's all you can see of Balliol College unless I pay to go in. Thanks.
But this one had actually...
A big feature of Central Oxford is walking tours. Tourists gather, join a group, and get given an hour's tour around the city. That's basically what I'm doing for you, except I'm doing it with higher technology. This is Trinity College, and again, there's not much I can show you from this side unless I pay to go in, but it's a pretty splendid environment. Lawns which have been lovingly manicured for 500 years, ancient railings, centuries-old trees. Okay, now I'm facing east again. I'll put up other videos, so don't worry if you miss this one. That's the Sheldonian Theatre, where people gather to receive degrees, in other words, to graduate. That's the front of Exeter College. I can't get far enough back here. I need a wide-angle lens. Okay, Trinity. I can show you Trinity through the gaps. This is Trinity College. The quadrangles thereof.
Okay, so the two girls.
idyllic is the word that's typically used.
They're talking about philosophy while smoking. Was there a man?
I've just heard two students discussing philosophy. Here's the Sheldonian Theatre again that I mentioned, where people go to get degrees. The heads outside it are carvings of Roman emperors. That isn't a Roman emperor, that's a tourist bus. City tours.
It just tastes like when I cycle past it.
This is Blackwell's. This is Oxford's first big bookshop. And unlike Borders, it still survives. Basil Blackwell founded sometime, I think, in the mid-1880s. That thing that looks like an Aztec temple is the new Bodleian Library, so-called. Built 1954. Opened 1954. I've now passed through an arch in the walls surrounding the Sheldonian Theatre, and that is the Sheldonian, too close for me to show you its entire shape. I'm now looking at the outside of the Bodleian Library, the old Bodleian Library, not the Aztec temple thing that I pointed out on the other side of the road. I'll go inside the quad another time. I am allowed to do that, but it would take me too long to do so today. One of the things that brings the tourists here. This is the Bridge of Sighs, which connects two halves of Hertford College, modelled apparently after a bridge in Venice. When I'm here tomorrow, it'll be crammed full of crowds, and there'll be bands and dancing and a play on the steps of the Sheldonian through the other side of the archway. And that is a pub, the King's Arms, and there'll be people drinking there from 6 o'clock onwards. As you've seen, there are quite a lot of colleges in the city centre. There's Exeter and St John's and Balliol and Trinity and others that I've not mentioned. And there are more colleges up there, and there's private accommodation, and loads of students will be coming down from these places to walk to Magdalen Bridge, which is what I'm now going to do. And I've got a choice of routes. Facing south again, and that takes me down into Oxford High Street, and if I turn left I then go to the bridge. Alternatively, I can go sort of diagonally left under the Bridge of Sighs and then wind my way down and join the High Street later on. I think I'll go down the High Street directly because it gives a better impression of the directions. This is Cat Street, C-A-T-T-E. That splendid building looming out of the not very distance is the Radcliffe Camera. If you live in Brasenose College, which is to its right, over there, the first thing you see when you get up in the morning is the dome of the Radcliffe Camera looming over the quadrangle with those portholes in the top looking like eyes. That's Brasenose, and that's the Radcliffe Camera. Sorry. I think a clock has now struck 2 o'clock.
Maybe a telephone.
People can't believe how lucky they are to have some sun. That's All Souls College, and once again I can't see very much of it. I always think that it looks like the centre of Lisbon did before the earthquake destroyed it in 1755. I'm still walking south, and I'm shortly going to join the high street. This is called the Old Bank Hotel, and it used to be a bank. England now has, I think, 4 or 5 major banks. Used to have a lot more, and they merged. And this was one of the ones that sort of lost its place by merging with another. I think it was National Provincial. So there's a lot of very ornate buildings in the high street which were built with money, and which used to be banks and which aren't banks anymore. Okay, I'm now on the high street. That's south. That's east. And that's towards the bridge where I'll be going tomorrow. And I will probably join the people coming off the bridge at just after 6 o'clock. So I'll walk down there until I get hit by a tidal wave of people, and then I'll make my way slowly back. I'm not going to go down into the crowd on the bridge itself, because there's still a lot of COVID around in the UK and I don't want to risk getting it. That's west, and that faces to what is usually taken as the official centre of Oxford, a tower and crossroads called Carfax. This is really quite astoundingly warm. I think it could even be up to 20 or 22. I haven't felt heat like that since last August. Haven't seen the sun since last August either. It's wonderful. I mean, seeing the sun is wonderful, not that not seeing it is wonderful. Here's another red phone box, much easier to see than the other one. However, it doesn't appear to have a phone in it. does still have the instructions. Telephone. Here we are again, facing west, facing Carfax Tower. You'll have to forgive me when the viewpoint drifts. It's me trying to step out of the way of tourists while simultaneously watching my stepping the cars and the hordes of people beside me. One of the disadvantages of living in Oxford is that most of the shops have been given over to souvenirs. So if you want a plastic replica of Harry Potter, that's fine. But if you want an avocado, that's harder to get. I showed you a real red telephone box. There's a replica. And a red post box. There's probably a Harry Potter in the window too, but I can't actually see one. Loads of sweatshirts, of course. Looks as though somebody is having difficulty selling them. EF is English as a foreign language. It's a school around here. So maybe they've gone bust. And nobody wants to buy the logos anymore. Here's one of Oxford's more traditional businesses, a cigar shop. Okay, I said that I'll be going down here tomorrow, and about 10,000 people will be meeting on Magdalen Bridge, listening to the choristers sing in the dawn. Obviously this presents certain problems for traffic. As you can see, all the buses go out of Oxford to the east along this route. So that's a bit of a problem. Here's how we deal with it. This stop will be suspended from 02 hours until 09 hours on Wednesday, May the 1st, due to the closure of Magdalen Bridge for May Day celebrations. Buses from here go to neighbouring towns and villages and also to the airports. Something else about Oxford is a certain obsessiveness with bicycles. I don't know why there are so many people waiting on bikes here. This forbidding bulk is the exam schools, where people go to have their final year exams, called finals. Everybody remembers walking in here and looking at the lists of degree results on the walls, wondering before they go in whether they got a first, second or third. I suppose these days the results are distributed over the internet. There's a bus to Blenheim Palace, which is about 4 miles north of here. And there's the Oxford Tube to London. When I walk down to the bridge tomorrow, I said that I'm going to avoid the crowds because there's still COVID around, and it's still killing about 100 people a week here, but there's also the risk of long-term effects, like blood slowly leaking out of bits of your brain, so I want to avoid that. So I'm going to walk down until I see the edge of the crowd, stop, and then watch it come past me, keeping a safe distance. And I think the edge of the crowd will be somewhere where those traffic lights are. That tower in the distance, just round the curve, is Magdalen College Tower. And singers will be on there tomorrow, just before 6 o'clock, ready to sing in the dawn. Here's yet another Oxford College, a little out of the way this one. Teddy Hall. There seemed to be an explosion in hairdressers since COVID, and I don't really know why, especially as quite a few people have stopped having their hair cut and are just using ponytails. This is Taylor's, one of Oxford's local coffee shops. Sells nice croissants and cappuccinos and so on. And I see that they're opening at 4 on May Day. I've got my Taylor's card, so I can get a coffee there. Okay, let's walk back up the high street. Hi.
Film it.
I'm doing a video, walks around Oxford,
Oh, nice.
because I generally walk for 3 or 4 hours a day anyway.
Oh, okay.
And I go out to places like Chilswell,
Yeah, nice.
Woodstock even,
Yeah.
Abingdon.
Yeah.
So I thought I might as well record some of it at the same
absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
Nice to see you.
And you, have a great day.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's our red phone box again. There's an ambulance, and sadly there's a pretty good chance that whoever's inside has got COVID, and that's what they're being treated for. I came out onto the high street here, opposite the old Bank Hotel, which, as I said, used to actually be a bank. But I'm going to go back by a different route. So I'm going to continue west. Here's one of the most iconic views of Oxford High Street. That tree. You'll see a break in the video there. I don't know what happened, but I spilled out of the last one and had to switch off and start again. So I'm standing on the high street facing west towards Carfax, and I'm going to walk up in that direction. If I go up here, then I see the Radcliffe camera from the other side. It's that which I did when coming down Cat Street. You can see its bulk emerging on the right. There are the eyes, the portholes on the other side of the camera. And I talked about waking up in Brasenose and seeing the camera gazing down over you. Brasenose is this on my left. So you see it over the wall when you're inside the quadrangle. That in the distance is the Bodleian Library from the other side. That's the another branch of the same chain that I mentioned, Taylor's. Unfortunately, I don't think this one are open for May Day. Open early. Okay, getting close to Carfax now, and it's also getting unpleasantly crowded and difficult to walk. Twenty-five to 3.
What are you up to?
You know, I walk for 3 or 4 hours each day in the summer.
Do you? Good for you, old chap.
So I'm just making some videos of it.
Good man.
Nice to see you.
And you, mate. All about you.
Just to be in a meeting where not everybody's in there.
Right. So what?
Here's Carfax Tower. And this is Cornmarket Street. It's mainly now Banks burger shops and cafes, and it's not the prettiest street in Oxford. The colleges owned a lot of the land, and in the 20s they didn't think they were going to expand anymore, so they sold it, and we ended up with a large number of rectangular, rather brutal buildings like that. Of course, there's a fair number of money changing places. Boots the chemist. Bento takeaway. Jesus College building an extension. We have more souvenir shops here. There's one over there called Oxford Gifts. That's a new peril to beware of, tripping over people's dogs. Right, I'm going to turn right and then turn left again at the end, and this will
You've got a big smile on your face there.
this will bring me out on Broad Street again. I'm going to walk up a street called Ship Street parallel to that, just to give you an idea of the different streetscapes of Oxford. Hat shop. This is the old city church. I think it's about 1,000 years old. During the main phase of the COVID pandemic, the church had a notice here listing the various plagues that it had been through after being founded 1,000 or so years ago, and pointing out that it had weathered all the others and it would weather COVID as well. cheese company selling specialist cheeses and sourdough bread. Nice reflection of the church in the window. This is the Jericho Cheese Company for anyone that's interested. Number one restaurant, quite posh. This on the left is a vintage clothes shop called Unicorn. Ball gowns, there'll be balls tonight, and doubtless a fair number of people will have hired the vintage goodies in here and be wearing them. That looks like quite an interesting shoe, though I don't know anything about its make. Nice colours. This is Ship Street, and I showed you earlier that Jesus College was building a new extension on Cornmarket. This is the old part of Jesus. Big, huge gardens and some lovely chestnut trees. Somebody once wrote a book about Oxford called "These Ruins Are Inhabited," and it's true, students do still live in these houses. Okay, more tourists. My phone's AI software is automatically rotating the phone to follow that group of tourists, so it obviously thinks there's something important about them. This that I'm turning into is Toll Street. That's Exeter College, which I showed you earlier. And that further down on the left is Lincoln, and that's Jesus, as I just said. Here I am looking at Trinity again, which I showed you earlier. See it better from this distance.
And then there is
yet another souvenir shop. I mean, teapots with the Union Jack on are all very well, but it would actually be nice to be able to buy some decent tea to put in them. And I'm back on Broad Street, having done a sort of loop and a bit. So I'll be around these parts tomorrow, weather being well, filming the crowds at May morning, and I'll probably spend a fair amount of time down by the building with the triangular roof, the one with the emperor's heads outside that I pointed at earlier. See you then.